Um, we've had a very um, insightful discussion from experts in various fields which have come together to speak on this area. What I'd like to do is share some of our practical experiences in regard to sustainabilities that we have experienced with our clients, with regulators, with policymakers, and I'll just take you through them. A lot of the stuff that's there in the slides is available here, so it will only be as reference in terms of information, but what I'd like to do is have a more interactive session if it's permissible. I only have a very short time, I think 9 odd minutes. So I'll keep it brief, and I hope I can take you through this journey that we have experienced over the years. So I'd like to begin really a step back from this discussion on sustainability, because sustainability as it is today being spoken, which was even spoken just now and with our esteemed panelists earlier, we speak in terms of carbon neutrality and various other things, but sustainability actually is very much ingrained in the ethos of all civilizations which really existed from time before, because they existed and coexisted with nature. It is just with industrialization and where capitalization became so important that we tended to just think about ourselves and not really worry about what we need to do to coexist, or forget about what is it that we are dependent on to exist. So as a result of which, we have seen a lot of self-centered capital behavior over a period of time. And it's not a surprise that right now we are talking so much about it. And if you ask ourselves, why is this conversation really happening? We will realize, if you go deep down into it, again, it is happening because of the capital, protection of the capital which has been deployed at different locations and places. No doubt there is a tremendous work being done on ground by NGOs, by sincere environmentalist, economist, that has always been done. What I'm talking about is in terms of the immediate need, in terms of policy decisions and others that are happening on account of climate change, which is essentially requiring the commitment from the governments to be able to look at decarbonization. So I'm just going to take you through a quick overview of few of the basic framework that are there in this regard. So if we look at the sustainability as an overall, sustainability as essentially is not only in regard to technology or capital, but it is in regard to our own existence, which is harmonious in terms of our own growth with each industry, its own economic basis, the social element which is around it and within it, and the environment. And India has, over the period of years, developed a lot of policies and laws in this regard. So to begin with, today SEBI itself has a very detailed framework, as we all know, in terms of what reporting standards have to be there for sustainability, as well as the scores that are required in terms of governance and ESG parameters. When you look at all of this and the rating that is required, what we found is for companies to be able to adhere to the standards, there are some essential challenges, and that is what we'd like to really bring to the notice right now. This is our commitment to India, as we know, in terms of how we need to make the reduction in terms of climate change. But what I'd like to really concentrate on are the challenges that are there. From a sustainability point of view, when we had interaction over a period of time with a lot of corporates in different cities, we were a part of the climate change series that happened last year. And in these interactions, what we understood is the corporates have a threefold issue. The first issue is in regard to awareness and knowledge itself in terms of what is really required out of them and how do you get it. That was the first. The second, in terms of the technologies that are required in order to make this happen. And those technologies were beyond the reach in terms of maybe the cost, maybe the affordability, and maybe the know-how, lack of availability of knowledge as to where to go and get it. And the third is the capital that is required to make this change and the transition as we see it. So over a period of time, the key challenges always cover around how do you really get to a point when these companies can actually use the capital that is available. As we know, today a lot of capital internationally and domestically is available for green funding. When I say green funding, means it is both transition energy as well as in respect to sustainable financing for companies that have been able to demonstrate that they are actually in the process of either green technologies, zero emissions, or reduction in emissions, as well as reduction in effluents, and so on and so forth. One of the biggest challenges to that is data, because information that is available today with the companies is information that is fragmented because it's collected in bits and pieces. Information that may not be consistent in terms of the way in which it has been presented. And thirdly, the information may be varying in terms of the various kind of frequency it comes in, so on and so forth. So the first and foremost thing is, in order for corporates to be able to access the financial availability of the capital which is available, they need to first of all demonstrate that they have either a project or they have technology that they are going to put to use, which is going to make an impact which is positive on the reduction of carbon emissions, reduction of effluents, and so on and so forth. So first challenge is in terms of the data. The second is the capital. Where do you really get the capital which is cost effective? And at what cost? Because as we know, especially for companies that are already very well developed, this is not a problem because it's already a part of their ethos and it keeps on growing. It is really the micro, the small, and the medium-sized enterprises where we see this as an issue. Hence, today, there are a lot of opportunities that are coming forth, and as we go along, we will be actually able to see this happening in terms of real-time basis. For example, SBI itself came up with the green funding, where it has raised a huge amount of capital in the Norwegian areas to be able to fund small, medium-sized companies for these particular endeavors. So the capital which is there at a very low cost or low interest rates to be eligible to it. So companies need to demonstrate that they are really eligible for this particular capital. Third is in terms of technology. So today the technologies may be extremely expensive. So one of the recommendations that came out of that entire session was, if you see that technologies are combined, in a cluster manner, where a group of companies situated in a particular area combine the resources to use, say, renewable energies, waste disposal, effluent treatment plants, which are combined, so that every company doesn't need to individually do it. That really helps. Also, challenges are in greenwashing, where you say out of compulsion that every product is green, and that is something that causes severe credibility issues. So in terms of catalyst, when we look at it, what is it that we can do? RBI itself is coming with opportunities. One, they're raising money in terms of green bonds, whereby we'll be able to use renewable projects, will get funding at low cost. There are renewable energy certificates which are available domestically and internationally. These certificates enable company to be able to record how they reduce carbon emissions and be able to trade it on different exchanges. Also, various other entities like the insurance companies as well as the RBI portal are actually enabling possibilities of a framework which will enable it. So to be able to conclude in terms of how do you really make catalyst, the first and foremost, the entire availability of the information that is in terms of sustainability, once it's available in a common portal where people can access information in terms of laws and policies, in terms of the formats and data that is to be utilized, and also to be able to have the ability to share the information in these domains. What is most important that we need to keep in mind, all information that is being submitted is being tracked. And that is where the challenge is going to come for the companies, because any information which is given in a wrongful manner or purposefully has been dressed up, so to speak, is going to cause future problems. So this is one of the things that we all need to keep about. And lastly, to be able to use the technologies that are available in terms of domestically as well as globally, in terms of technology licenses and others, through industrial module, which means, for example, if you had the agro industry, we had the chemical industry, we had the other manufacturing industry. As an industry group, if you negotiate for those technologies, it would be much easier. So these are just some of the recommendations and suggestions. I'm sorry, I just have a very short time. But these areas, in terms of both the legal forum, the formats, and the information that will be submitted in order to be able to assess credibility of each of the players, is going to be very essential. Thank you.